Okay, my guy, we're totally recording. We're doing this. I'm gonna let some people in. This is
Cool.
gonna happen now.
No turning back.
Now turn it back. Oh, let's let these people in. Oh my God. All right, here I'm gonna spotlight you. I'm gonna spotlight me, because obviously. And then
Why are we even
uh,
here, you know?
what's going on here? Hello, friends. Hello, my people. Let's see who's joining us. We've got Jasmine, we've got Dave, we've got Ida, we've got Tamiko just joined us. What's happening, Tamiko? Oh, are you on the beach? Look at that. This is
Yes,
fantastic.
I am. Sorry, I didn't realize my camera was on.
Hey, listen, it's not that kind of beach. It's fine. It's all good. It's all good. So glad you all are with us. There'll be others joining, of course, as we go. But I want to just jump right in and get to this thing because I'm so excited to be with our friend Matt Bauer today. But before we do that, Matt, you know, there's a little way in which we start every episode here, and it's intro music time. And it's dancing time. And I want you to let loose. Here we go. Oh, put that on my speaker reel. Come on. Um, Listen, it's Friday, folks. We're getting a little loose here. Hey, Sandy, good to have you with us. And we've got if you're joining us for the first time, everybody, I'm Cesar Cervantes. I am the founder of Top Talks, where we help folks land and deliver TEDx talks and keynote speeches. And I just love it every day. And the community is so awesome and just growing every day. If you haven't joined us on Facebook, please do. We have a Facebook group there, just TEDx and keynote speakers. And if you haven't signed up for the newsletter, please do that as well. I'll pop in the link here momentarily. But today we are with the one and only Matt Bauer, and I started doing a little research myself. I was like, this year I'd really like to get a new speaker reel, and I'm doing more speaking again, getting more requests. And it's just fun to be out there doing more speaking. And I was like, I need a refresh. And I just started talking to some folks, and Matt's name kept coming up. And I was like, all right, I'll call this guy. I'll see what's going on. But seriously, no, three or four speakers who I just really trust and admire, all used you to create their speaker reels, and they were super happy working with you. And the product that you create is just fantastic. So we're going to tap into your expertise today, Matt. Welcome.
Great. Tap away. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I couldn't possibly top it by introducing you, but I think that groovy music did the trick. Yeah.
So, folks, Matt is a videographer and a musician and a dad, and he's got a great head of hair. I think the hair looks good. So we're gonna be today. We're gonna be tapping into how though we can create something on our own, even if we don't have a ton of resources. One of the things as I first thought, I was like, well, I got a bunch of video. Maybe I can slap it together. Maybe I could send Matt all of my video and see what he does with it. I don't know if that would be useful, right? So there was all these questions that just started building up. Do I want to have a narrative with it? Do I want to be sitting there telling the story? And I thought, yeah, I want to do that. Well, that's another shot that I got to create. But really, as I continued to think more, I was like, what I would love to do is to know when I'm at a speaking gig and if I have my own camera or little setup, what shot should I be looking to get so that I can actually get something that's usable to create, a world-class speaker's reel. And so that's why we're here today, folks. I want you to feel free to just drop into the chat at any point, any questions that you might have. And so we're just going to keep going. And then at the end, we'll open it up to some Q&A as well. But hey, Andy, good to have you with us. And I'd like to start with this question, Matt. So let's pretend I have unlimited resources and I have you in my corner. And maybe I've got some video, or maybe I'm just like, hey, bring the crew and go and film me everywhere I go this year. Like, let's start from there. What would you say? How do we build a world-class speakers reel?
With unlimited resources, that's a dream. I think there's certain check boxes you've got to have with it. I mean, it depends on who's going to see this, who's going to book you, right? What are they used to seeing all day long? We don't want that, right? But the thing, my approach is what makes you you. Like if I were to take a transcript of what you say on stage and go on a stage and say it all myself, would it have the same impact? No. So whatever that difference is, that's what we want to highlight in the video, no matter what the budget is or no matter what the gear is that you have. So
Yeah,
if it's unlimited resources and things, really, you could have a $10,000 budget or $1,000 budget or a $10 budget or whatever. But if the story doesn't show through,
hmm,
if you don't get that differentiator checkbox checked, and whatever other checkboxes there are, biggest stage as possible right away, most profound points and things like that, keeping attention spans in mind, then you don't, a $10,000 reel would be ineffective without that,
right.
no matter what your budget is.
Okay, good. So let's start there. So if you're like, okay, I'm doing, and this happens to be my case, I'm redoing my speaker reel this year. I really should start with mapping out my audience and the story that I want to tell in the reel. Is that right?
Yeah, that's basically it. Those are going to be the underlying threads in any reel. Because if you're going to book someone, it's like, okay, leadership. Okay, there's a bunch of speakers in leadership, sure. And yes, the information is very similar from one speaker to the next. It's how do you inject that information? That's what needs to be shown. Is like,
Yeah,
is it like if I were to, obviously, if I were to do something from Tony Robbins, wouldn't have the same effect, right? So it's just showing that that's one of the biggest check boxes. Yes, is mapping out what makes you you. In fact, my questionnaire that I send clients is it's about 10 questions, and it really gets down into the nitty-gritty of that, finding what your differentiators are, what your who your quote unquote competition is, what they're doing, what you wish you could do, what you're charging, what you want to charge, kind of does a little bit of an audit of finding what those check boxes are. And that's kind of how I
got
formulate
it.
that. I use that as a basis for a reel.
Got it. Okay, so for me, I speak about speaking, and I help people construct presentations, keynotes, and so I have different clientele. One place that I go to twice a year, they invite me is USAA, and I do a little thing for their leadership. And the last time I went, I did a storytelling workshop. And so that's one potential client, and there's like a corporate space, right? And I could think of that as like, an audience, what problem I'm solving for them, et cetera, right?
Sure.
Um, when we create, but we also might solve different problems, right? And we might have three different, keynotes that we do or something like that.
Yeah.
When we're constructing the story, because I think this is a good place to start, like you think of your speaker reel, and there's essentially like maybe you're sitting on a comfy chair and you're chatting about what you do and how you do it, and I'm like, hey, I'm like this and I do this. And you're trying to make it, engaging. I'm actually doing James Robillata. Maybe I'll show you his clip. Um,
Yeah, I get
yeah,
it.
like I'm funny, and then I hit him in the feels. But
Yes.
but actually, it's a very well constructed story where he's sharing not just what you're going to expect to get when he's on stage, but also what problem he solves and the solution, right?
Yeah.
So even if we have multiple, like for me, like it might be storytelling, it might be constructing a talk, and then the other one might be how you deliver and the credibility of your sort of nonverbal delivery.
Yeah.
But it all comes down to how we're communicating on stage.
Yeah.
So if I told that story, I would want to encapsulate all of that, I presume.
Mhm.
And I would want to have one clear problem that I'm solving in that story. Do you have any tips on when we're creating that narrative where it's like, okay, I'm in the seat, I'm talking, and then there's going to be clips of me on stage saying a couple of things and
Mhm.
sort of reiterating what I'm saying in that chair. How would you recommend I go about writing that narrative piece?
Well, I think I mean, so when I go out and film, so I'll travel the country and film speakers and do interviews with them and get the whole keynote and 4K and all the things, full capture like all day long. But I make sure to do that interview. And sometimes I'll base my questions off of the keynote that I filmed or what I know about them, and to kind of go, all right, if I'm engineering this for a reel, how do I set that up? How do I set up this stage clip that I saw earlier, and what question do I prompt to kind of set that up? So I guess my overall answer is I don't script that. I don't want it to be scripted
Mm,
because the setup part needs to be as candid as possible.
got it.
And
So
yeah.
if we're DIYing it, we would basically ask somebody to interview us and ask us a series of questions, and then we would just kind of go. Is that right?
Basically, do this. Yes. Just do
Yeah.
this. Just ask about their craft, maybe questions that they don't normally hear. AI can come up with a whole list of questions that are unique, and just to draw out the genuineness and the candidness to show, just like James Robillata's reel, which I think we'll probably watch, it shows that he's the same person on and off stage. And so the a whole underlying thing, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. Reels work the same way. So there's likability, there's trust in seeing what he does and how he does it and his genuineness, and practicing what he preaches,
Love it.
credibility, and knowing, obviously, like I want to see more of this guy after I see that interview, and
Right.
like I want to
It's
hang out with him.
enticing.
So
All
yeah.
right, let's see it. So the folks, if you're taking notes, first tip is like let's start with who your audience is, so you know who you're talking to, what problem you solve, and then that narrative is a big part of really how the speaker reel would then be created from that. You'll have a series of questions. You want to treat it like an interview, and so let's just experience Matt's work here.
Author, professional speaker, and personal coach James Robillata is back.
Motivational speaker and author James Robillata.
James is the author of Leading Imperfectly.
James, thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Please join me in welcoming James Robillata.
So good to see you today. Thank you so much for having me. I know you didn't have a choice. I feel like we should get to know each other a little bit more, and I feel like a natural place to start is to tell you how I eat pancakes. I want my audience to feel like we're hanging out together. We could be in our living room, we could be in a diner booth, we just happen to be in a conference room. I'm born and raised in New York. I married a woman from Minnesota. Now, if you've never been to either place, those are two different cultures. Minnesotans are some of the nicest people that I have ever met. They're truly beautiful. In New York, we start sentences off with, listen, no disrespect. The ability to riff with the audience and be like, who knows this? Who's got that? I like my pancakes equally and adequately soaked with butter and syrup.
Where are my people who soak their pancakes in butter and syrup? Where you at? There you go, friend. I see you. I see you. All right, that's what's up.
Where are my people who vehemently disagree with me? That's awesome. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Everybody else look around. These people are wrong. I've been doing improv since 2004. I've been doing stand-up for a really long time. So I bring a natural humor, a natural comedy swagger to the stage. And I use it as a tool to just get people to feel like, oh, we're all hanging out. This is cool. If tomorrow I told you I want you to put your toothpaste on your toothbrush in the opposite direction. And then if I told you I need you to brush your tooth, I assume you have more, maybe your teeth too. So the other day I got in the shower. Don't picture any of this, by the way. I get my audiences laughing, let them know I got it. And as soon as they get comfortable, I sucker punch them in the feels. Because as soon as your walls are down, that's when I can sneak a message in. We write people's stories before we've ever even heard them. We do this all the time, and the reason why we do it is because assuming is easier than learning. Just because it's easier doesn't mean it's right. When you make the decision to care, you show up. Curiosity is a choice, and it is a choice that we have to make because that's how we learn, that's how we grow. We live in a world that's more interested in being right than what is right. Committing to creating a community where people advocate for each other takes curiosity because it takes learning about what you don't know. And when is the last time you listened like you might be wrong? Trying to create workspaces where people care about each other, where people show up for each other, where people ask questions of each other so that they know that they are seen, heard, and respected. Curiosity is power.
All right, beautiful. So, so much fun. Obviously, we're working with what we have too, right? So not all of us are going to have the TV spot or a shot of the book or those kinds of things. But this is definitely one where we can tell that James had a bunch of footage and you helped him piece it together and thread it with this interview that you conducted with him. I noticed that it was really, we built credibility, we got a vibe for him, and then we introduced the way he works with people, right?
Yep.
And I think that's a great build. I also wonder if his is almost 4 minutes, right? What is your recommendation on the length? Because we might come in right a little sooner with the problem solution or how we work with people. Tell us about that.
Yeah, and this is where no two reels are the same that I'll put out, right? There's certain other folks that have kind of a formula, and it works for some speakers and some subjects and things, but it kind of falls short on it doesn't quite fit other speakers. And so I kind of weave the reel in a way that is unique to the speaker. And so that's why James's personality and likability was first, because that he is such a contagious,
right.
He's such a great dude, and that just is first and foremost. So that's know, like, and trust, right? So any of these three coming out first, I think, is what gets you hooked. I like this guy. He's telling jokes. I like this. Okay, what's he on stage for? Okay, cool. Good. And okay, so I see how that kind of that the humor is a catalyst for learning and retaining information, all that stuff. So it really depends on what your uniqueness is. And that I think is what I was featuring first in James's reel. But if your uniqueness and your draw is your information or your insight or your experience or whatever, then we might open with that. If you are likable like James and have that experience, well, then that's a good problem to have for me to decide which one goes first, right? Or for you to decide which one goes first. So leading with more of your topic and kind of the experiential stuff on stage, I think can be better suited for certain folks. But really, it just depends on what your draw is.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I love it. I think, and maybe also in different industries, they might be expecting different things, right? But what I would also say is when you're creating your first reel, for some people, their first reel is just one example of a talk that they did. And that's a good place to start, right? You did a TEDx talk. You did a keynote that went really well. You did a graduation speech that you crushed, right?
Yep.
And it's hey, look, here's me speaking. And that's what you got, and that's great, right? I would actually just say, don't be afraid to put something out there to show people that what you can do, that you speak. And then it keeps building and growing over time, and you're always going to be tweaking it. Like you ask, anybody who's been speaking over the course of their years, they've had multiple speaker reels, and they're tweaking it and adjusting messages all the time.
Yeah,
Um,
I will jump in there for just 1 second and say that it is a living document, to your point. It is a
yeah.
living document. I have clients, all the time, after a year and a half or so, hey, I've got some new footage that I got in Chicago or whatever. Can we implement that, integrate that? Yes, absolutely. I've changed my branding, I've changed my colors, I've changed my hair. Whatever it is,
Yes.
it's a living document. To answer your question from before about length, it really obviously depends on who you ask. The sweet spot for me for a reel like that is about 3 to 3.5 minutes. I think you can pretty much tell a good story in that time and show and check all the boxes and stuff in that time. But some, depending on what you have, 90 seconds might be better as kind of a teaser for something later or something longer where people want to be more in the audience and see you walk around
Absolutely.
and talk uninterrupted. I'm curious about that comment about the will.
Tim's a jokester. I'm not sure what comment he's referring to, but maybe he'll expand on what sounded like a will. Okay, so let me recap here. So, all right. If you're launching in this year, like I am, into creating a new speaker reel or maybe your first speaker reel, get clear on your audience, of course, what problem you solve for them, what the solution is that you're providing. But then also prepare really for an interview style approach to creating that narrative within the speaker reel so that people can see you, hear from you, and then think of those clips of you speaking or you on a little local television news station or whatever it is that as adding credibility to that central narrative.
Mhm.
And I think it's really key to get that narrative correct. But to Matt's point, we also want it to be natural, right? We want it to be you. And so that interview style is really gonna be important for that. I don't think it means you don't prepare. You just don't want to be scripted. Is that right, Matt?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I even say at the beginning of the interview, I said, I don't want to hear anything that you say on stage verbatim. Because then I have to choose between using the stage version or using the interview version.
Mm,
And so yeah, just kind of an outline, talking points, something that comes naturally. Talk to your friend, whoever you open up to and are comfortable around, because that really, really comes through, and
yeah.
tension will generate tension, and it just needs to be as natural as possible. The other option, and I just did this with a client of mine, is to have something that talks directly to the camera and says, hey, I'm so and so, I'm about this, you'll find
Yeah.
me talking about this and this and this and this, cut to this and this and this and this. And then when whatever, and here's my thing, and here's my thing, that's more in your face. The client that I was working with is a very in your face kind of client. So it's very on brand for her to be like, hey, here's what I'm about. There's a lot of energy. So again, that comes down to who you are, how you present, and your
Yeah.
uniqueness. And that's what's going to sell you.
I like that. It'd be interesting to see that because that almost feels more like social media as opposed to like what we would traditionally see in like a speaker reel. And
Yeah.
my first instinct is like that may come across less professional, but it could totally work if that's on brand, right?
Yes.
Um, okay, cool. All right. So next step is to talk about, let's geek out a little bit on like maybe the equipment or like how we're shooting certain stuff. So for
Sure.
example, I'm gonna hire you to come and film me at a keynote that I'm giving in May, and it's in Green Bay on Lambeau Field. So it's really exciting. It's gonna be cool. We're gonna get some great shots, and I was like, for sure, I want that professionally shot. Um, but then I'm going to be doing other speaking gigs throughout the year where I'm not going to have you fly to come see me, Matt. I know. A little tear that. And And I want to be able to still give you some stuff that you can use.
Yeah.
Or, when maybe folks have a little video editor themselves and they want to be getting shots that look good and tell the story. So
Yeah.
let's pretend I have one, maybe two cameras at most. How should I be setting those up? What should I be thinking about that'll give us some shots that we can use?
Okay. And I just put that reel that I was just talking about in the
Oh,
chat.
nice.
It's in Dropbox form. It's not super pretty, but it's a link. But yeah, that's the one that's kind of directly in your face. So as far as a DIY kind of thing with kind of what you have, your phone is an underestimated camera. So as long as it's still, again, this comes down to check boxes, right? Number one, sound. I have to hear you. Otherwise, it's just B-roll. It's just video B-roll. And the sound is half the battle. So any kind of good microphone to get by either DJI or Hollyland. Hollyland makes real affordable, like $40, $39 for two wireless microphones that you just plug right into your phone and hit record, and it sounds great. And it has noise cancellation or whatever it is. And so it's definitely affordable. So anything by
Nice.
DJI or Hollyland is great. Those are what I use in the field when I film. So the audio first and foremost, make sure that is good. Shooting in as high resolution as possible, 4K, 24 frames a second, 30 frames a second. Your phone might already be set up that way. This is if you're using a phone. I'll talk about other cameras in a second, but whatever you have on you, this is a zero extra cost kind of method, besides the microphone. So if you have your phone, yes, like 4K, if you can shoot in that at 24 or 30 frames per second, setting up on a tripod, which is super cheap. Even from the perspective of like if one of the seats is empty, just like put the little tripod, maybe attach it to whatever your tripod is. From an audience perspective, that I think is the best use case for a small form factor camera like that is just kind of, aimed just like that. And if
Huh.
it's in higher enough resolution, you can kind of reframe it after the fact. If you want to get into that, I do that sometimes. But another good camera that I think is a really fantastic one, even just to review your own footage, is the Osmo Pocket 3. It's going to follow you. It's got a gimbal. You just set it up the
Mm,
same way you would set your phone up. Probably have somebody go behind it when you're on stage and go, just tap me so it follows you. But that shoots very well. I've actually used that particular camera, and it's a $400 camera. It's expensive, but it's not like the thousands and
right.
thousands of dollars the
It's
cameras
not
that
too
I use.
bad.
Right, it's not too bad at all, and it is fantastic for its use case, and it follows you. And so
Let
as
me let
long
me
as
put that in the chat. So
sure.
say it again.
So the two microphone brands were DJI and Hollyland, and then the camera is the DJI Osmo Pocket 3.
DJI Osmo.
Osmo, OSMO Pocket 3.
Nice.
And you'll also find the extra, which is basically DJI's. It's made by DJI, but it's $100 cheaper. Extra is the other brand. I'll just put that in there. It looks exactly like the Pocket 3, but it's $100 less. That's the one I bought, so it's great.
Nice.
Anyway, so that would be good at capturing just something that is usable, and as long as you are at least half the frame, ideally it would follow you, kind of torso up, you
Yeah.
know, and just follow like that, or buy two of them and get a wide one and whatever. But as long as you are distinguishable in
Right.
the frame and we can hear you, and it's a good point that you're making, I think there's a lot of forgiveness that happens if somebody appreciates the point and that they can hear it. It doesn't have to struggle to see, or it doesn't have to be 4K, 8K, whatever. Ideally, it would be in a finished speaker reel for sure. But if we're just trying to get something so we can get to bigger stages and get higher fees and that kind of stuff, perfectly acceptable stepping stone to do it with your phone or with the Osmo or
Right.
whatever it is. So,
So yeah, so what I'm hearing is, and what I would probably try and do is set up one that is following me that gives me pretty good resolution of me on stage that's tight enough to where it would look good, sound good, and it gives you options because it's moving. Then I might be able to have a fixed one in the back that at least could show, especially if it's a good size audience, would love to see like, hey, look at here's a packed room of 1,000 people, right?
Yep.
Or if it's 100 or 300 or whatever.
Yep.
Because that always speaks more to the credibility of, where you're speaking and who you speak to and all of that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So uh, is that fair to say? Like that might cover quite a bit of what you could do with it?
Yeah, if I literally had like no backpack or suitcase with gear or whatever, and all I could carry was an Osmo Pocket 3 and a phone or two, those are the two angles that I would do. Is the phone would be the wide shot of the 4K, and then the one that follows you would be tighter on you, probably, yeah, upper legs and up, so you have room to even crop later if you are going to edit it yourself. But yeah,
Nice.
that's those are the two main angles that I would do if I was kind of DIY without spending too much money.
So I want to talk about something else and maybe how we can cheat a third camera.
Yeah.
So not actually a third camera, but if there's somebody speaking before you or earlier in the day or whatever, and you want to capture some audience reactions, if it's the same stage, same setup, you could go around and film that. You probably need permission to use their likeness. But I mean, have people done that? Is that like a fair tip?
I don't know anybody who has done that. Um, and probably in the last three filmings. Yes. I mean, if I'm there ahead of time, yeah, and there's like something beforehand, especially if it's like a company meeting where they all know each other and they're all like already laughing, smiling, and reacting.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the perfect time to do that. As to speak to your legality of it, it's perfectly legal. Because there's no expectation of privacy. Just like
Okay.
you can film the police if you want, and you can film anything in public. It's still technically public if they're at a conference. Ethically, really up to you. Obviously, if somebody goes, please don't, then no way, that's being deleted. No, no, no. It's so really it's best to say, hey, if you object to any of this, like come see me afterwards, or let
Yeah,
me know that to not show that. We obviously respect that, but it would take forever to get permission from everyone. And
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, so to your point, yes, to get those shots, they're like gold. I mean, that's a lot of the gold that I get out there is I am dedicated. I have like three 4K cameras just aimed at the stage, getting every detail. While that's happening, I'm getting every reaction and all of the candidness and humor that and ambiance and stuff. And that I think is the way to film a speaker.
Yes. Yeah, I mean it's not just your narrative that's telling the story, but it's also, the video that's telling the story.
Yeah.
The where are we? What are we doing? What is this place?
What's
And
the impact?
what's the impact, right? Which gets us to testimonials.
Yeah.
And I've seen some folks have video testimonials within their speaker reel. I see some folks that don't use them at all.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because they don't have them or it doesn't just kind of jive with their brand or something. What's your take on putting testimonials in a reel, and how do you recommend getting those?
Sure. And so these are the easiest to get from a DIY perspective. And they are very, very valuable. If they and the more specific they are, the more valuable they are, versus, hey, it was a great presentation. I would highly recommend. I could stick that in anybody's reel. Why was it a
Right.
great presentation? It really helped me. The point they made about this, and this, oh man, that totally clicked with me. That was so impactful. Boom. That's an Amazon. That's a 5-star Amazon review on the product you're trying to sell. Right. So,
Right.
so including them, yes, if they are not, if they're not forced, they're not, too general or whatever. Yes, including them is great, and probably up to 15 to 20 seconds each. And I would devote maybe 25%, not to throw all these numbers out, but 25% of the reel, of the whole time of the reel, to testimonials. So if
Okay.
it's a 4-minute reel, that's a full minute of testimonials. And so proportionally down from there. So on average, probably 30 to 45 seconds of people just kind of going, oh my gosh, it was mind blowing. And oh, yes, because it doesn't take but 5 seconds for people to be convinced and go, all right, well, and then the rest is reinforcement. So how much reinforcement of testimonials do you want after that, after the first really convincing one? And as far as getting them, there are websites out there that don't even require you to use your phone, just your browser or whatever. Hey, click here, allow your camera, record a 30-second thing, and hit submit. You don't have to do anything. It automatically shows up in my thing. That's that easy to
Yeah.
do that. Or hey, record a thing in landscape, please, to kind of give more of a. It's actually better to have a less polished testimonial. So if I'm
Oh.
going out and filming, clearly not every one of your events, as you let me down gently with, thank you. If I'm out filming, I'm gonna get them with professional cameras because I have that. But it is actually can be more genuine and more impactful. Hey, send me a 30-second clip of just you on your lunch break, whatever. Just like share some thoughts or whatever. It just looks more natural than a lot less forced and just more genuine, which really sells you.
Nice. Love it. Okay, we've got a question that came in here. And folks, just as a reminder, feel free to pop in your questions into the chat, and then also we'll get to Q&A here momentarily. Um, so I want to get your take on this, Matt. Like, uh, let's say, so I have an event coming up. I hire you to come and film it, and you get this beautiful shot, and it's like a big stage, and like we get all the angles, and we all of the things are perfect, right? And then you also you film me to interview, like you interview me to get that narrative, and we get testimonials all in one day, right? And but I also still have these other clips of me on that TV show thing, and then also when I was speaking over here, and also my TEDx talk. But they all look different. They all sound different. They're not going to be clean and seamless into what you would have created in
Sure.
that one day. Uh, would you still recommend splicing them in, or do you think you should like it's just it's better to use the one camera to get it all in a day and just tell the story? What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are again, it comes down to check boxes. If I'm a meeting professional, if I'm hiring anyone to speak anywhere, have they spoken in more than one place? Cool. In other words, has how many companies have trusted this person with a microphone and their audience?
Yeah.
It's the credibility, it's the experience piece. So, but that has to be, unless I'm at every event filming with the same cameras, it's going to have a different look. It's going to have a different feel. And that I think there's a lot of forgiveness in that, as long as, again, check boxes, sound is there, visual is there. There's no struggle on the part of the viewer to understand or see or hear.
Right.
It doesn't have to be perfect and doesn't have to be uniform to like the last clip or the last stage or whatever. But as long as it's viewable and hearable, audible,
Hmm.
then I think there's a lot of forgiveness there. And it obviously shows differences of venues, differences in audience and diversity and all of that stuff. So it's definitely worth putting anything and everything in there. And to answer the written testimonial question, absolutely worth doing that. It's just obviously only one channel of data, which is just written versus I see it on their face and I hear it in their voice. It's just less data streams there for the people to receive. I'm very,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Jess was asking, she says, I primarily have written testimonials. Are they worth including in a speaker reel?
Yes.
And yeah, so if that's what you had, right, you could still put it like as a quote
Mhm.
over the narrative or
Yep.
like, within there. And I think that absolutely it adds to it, especially if the testimonial may be coming from that quote may be coming from like
Like a notable
president
figure.
of,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, those totally work.
Yeah.
I would say video can be more powerful, but no reason not to include if
Yeah, it
they're
doesn't make them worthless. It has to make up for the lack of conviction in voice and
right.
visual in words or in notoriety, or this is from Google. Well, we want to hear what Google had to say about this person, right this
Right.
way. I don't
Totally.
care if it's just in written form, so it really depends. It all depends.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay, well, I'm excited about 2026 here, getting my reel together, and I think it's just fun. It's a creative process as well.
Yeah.
And that I don't know that interview feels like it'd be really fun to do and
Oh yeah.
piece together. And so I'm
Yeah.
excited about this journey. What do you want to leave folks with, Matt? Like just okay, you've got in this community, you've got some folks that are just coming up and they're speaking, maybe even just starting, and then you've got folks who've been doing it a bit, but they're all looking to create their own speaker reel. What do you want to leave them with? What do you want to give them?
Really, what I see is, and thank you for the opportunity to be here, by the way. I should have
Of
opened that
course.
with that. Um, really, I know how overwhelming it can be to be like, okay, well, I got this video here from the AV team, or I got this thing over here, and my friend videoed this. It's probably not good enough. Uh, you never know. You could make something. You can make something, and it's the only way to get to a place where you can make something more is to make the something in the first place. That is obviously 101 for getting anything done or taking projects in steps, but it works the same way. There are many capable video editing apps out there. I've seen some pretty good DIY, stuff that got people by for a little bit, but then they needed something more, so they came to me. But there's no shame in DIY, at all. But I'm also happy to help anyone along with their journey in any way I can. So reach out for sure.
Sure.
I'm an open book, and I just want to. I mean, I've been in this speaker community for 10 years as of last month. I've had this business, and I kind of got started in a interesting way where I had just come off of cruise ships. I was a performer, a singer and guitarist on cruise ships for a few years. I came back and I was like, what now? And one of my friends who happens to be a speaker, Jessica Pettit, she put my information on a couple of Facebook groups that she wasn't supposed to advertise in, but okay. And overnight, I had 12 clients, and just a business from then on
Amazing.
is all word of mouth, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for you for this. But my whole point is, I've over that 10 years, I've seen a lot of struggle, and I totally get it from people at all points in there and all levels of success in speaking, and it can be very, very overwhelming. But I want to be an advocate for you, and I want to be a partner for you, and I want to see you. It's a have to have credit to get credit kind of business. Well, we want
Love
to
it.
hire you, but we don't see any evidence of you being awesome. No, I promise I am. Sorry, I need to see evidence. Okay, well, here's some back of the room. I don't know. It's so I get it. It's like and you're trying to concentrate on a lot of things, but
Yeah.
I'm just here to help, and I just
So
want to make myself.
speaker, I love that you have this URL, speakervideo.com. Make sure to hit up Matt there.
Yeah,
We've got a couple of questions that came in, so we'll go to Q&A now, and then we could close it out here real soon.
sure.
So, Tim says, "What about using some clips from podcast episodes? Like, do you think that would work in a speaker reel?"
Yeah, I think it could work, not as a main, obviously, kind of thing, but if you're making a good point, if you're having a moment with someone, where you're telling a joke and they're laughing or whatever it is, that's emotion that is coming through. So that has value if it's used correctly, and not like featured as the main thing that we keep cutting back to, and then we go back to
Right.
these other little things. It would be one of those other little things. But just like being on a news program, it's the same kind of thing where they're asking you a question and you're answering it. So we're just showing the answer. So yeah, I would think as much as you would use the news interview clips, yeah, you would use some of the podcast stuff.
Well, what I would say too is that think of it as a form of credibility. So, and podcasts are there's not necessarily a barrier to entry, right? So, what I would say is think of it as is it a big podcast? Is the host of that podcast well known? Is what you're sharing uh, directly linked to the narrative that you're weaving
Yeah.
through, right?
Yeah.
So if it's not like a credibility booster, then it has to connect directly to that narrative.
Yeah, it's got to
If
have some utility. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. But yes, I think I've seen it work too. So that's great feedback, Matt.
Yeah.
And then Dave is asking, can you share some of those DIY apps you referred to? I think he's talking about the like just for editing, for video
Like video
editing.
editing.
Hmm.
Yeah. So iMovie is obviously, I don't know if depending on if you have a Mac or a PC. PC, I've been out of that game for a little while, but I know that there's an offering from like Wondershare that has a great, I mean, it's like $100 for the editing suite, and it is getting easier and easier to kind of do the, I don't want to say basic things, but what you would need for a DIY reel without like motion graphics and all these titles and all that stuff. It can do some of that stuff too, but it's fairly intuitive. So that's on the Windows side, but on the Mac side, I think you have a few more options. One of the on the kind of novice side, yes, iMovie, or let me see, Wondershare also makes some stuff for Mac as well. But on the high end, and it's actually free, is DaVinci Resolve. And that is a Hollywood, like there's so much in that free version, it's ridiculous.
Mm.
But yeah, if and that, to be honest with you, I use the DaVinci Resolve Studio version, the paid version, but all of those tools in there are what I use. And there's plenty of tutorials online. I know we're speakers, right? We're not video editors. However, it just to get like, how do you do? I know how to do this. I've got this on the timeline. How do I? Just type that into Google. Just type that into YouTube or whatever. I guarantee somebody's got the same exact problem. They'll help you through with just that one problem without having to learn the entire suite of software. Or call me.
Yes.
So those are
Um,
on the both ends of the.
Dave, if you use PC, and I don't know if this is any good, but it's what I use. It's called Movavi Video Suite,
Yep.
and it was, it was super affordable. I just downloaded it, and
Yep.
it gets the job done.
Yep.
Also, what I was looking for was fewer tools. And because I needed to be able to know how to use it intuitively because I'm not like naturally savvy with these kinds of tools. So
Sure.
I don't know if he's a PC guy that might help as well.
Yeah, Movavi is great. In fact, when Windows Movie Maker went away, I think that was the biggest replacement one. And it's okay, Dave. I was going to say recovering PC guy, but I didn't want to offend you. I used to build PCs and was an IT guy for like 10 years. So I totally come from the Windows universe. But yeah, Windows Movie Maker was the one to get, but then yeah, it went away for some reason. Then the Movavi is a great one too. I highly recommend that one.
All right, awesome. And then yeah, Jess, I think had a similar question in terms of the editing software, so I think we got to that. Um, Oh, Dave also said, forgive my ignorance, when recording on iPhone, is the back-facing camera preferred versus the front-facing camera?
In most cases, yes. I would actually for an iPhone, yes. Unless you have even the newer like 17 or 17 Pro or whatever has a revamped front camera that has a bigger sensor and it's like 24 megapixels or whatever it is. So at this point, what I'm saying is kind of doesn't matter. The real challenge is lighting. So if lighting is a problem, definitely use the back cameras. Use the back cameras anyway. But if you're filming yourself, that makes it a little bit difficult. But what exists now, and they have MagSafe kind of versions of it is just a little screen. So like $50, just a little screen that you can connect to via AirPlay on your phone, and it just mirrors what is on the phone. So then you can see it you can see what the phone sees over here, so you can see it. So instead of using the
Oh,
front camera
nice.
and be limiting to that, then so yes, to answer your question in a short way, yes, back cameras as much as possible. Those are the higher resolution, higher quality cameras. But in order to get around that, if you are filming yourself, just get one of those little screens. They're like $50. They're all over Amazon.
We also learned that Dave is a PC guy with an iPhone, which is a special kind of person. Uh,
I don't know how people do it, but I respect it.
I,
Absolutely.
it's okay. I think he's sort of testing the waters. You know,
He's dipping his toe into the Apple
yeah.
ecosystem. He's non-committal. I understand, Dave. It's cool.
Oh man,
I
I
get it.
was full blown Mac guy for a while, and then just completely came back to what is good and right. Anyway, so Andy, Andy says it's kind of awful. I miss my Mac. All right, we have completely derailed this
Yeah, you're
conversation, and
outvoted at this point,
it's
Stephen.
my fault. It's
Yeah.
my fault. All
Mhm.
right, folks, we have time maybe for one or two more questions. If there's any, go ahead and pop those in the chat, or feel free to just come off of mute. I still see Scott here, Ravi's here, Jamie, Jasmine, Sandy, Tamiko, Tim. Any other burning questions for Matt? You've got the professional here. Go ahead, Dave.
Sorry, I'm going to come off mute. Apologies for my voice. I'm
You're
getting
good.
over a cold.
You're good.
And if you mentioned this, Matt, forgive me, but how long should a reel be? 2 to 3 minutes? Like, what's the ideal length?
Yeah, sure. And so the ideal length for like and this is a bit of a complicated answer. Again, it depends on who's watching it and their attention span. If it's like, hey, send me 90 seconds of your best stuff or whatever, then 90 seconds, obviously. But if it's something that lives on the front of your website, and is like, hey, here's me in a 3.5 minute, which is the amount of time I'm going to say, in a 3.5 minute nutshell. That I think is the sweet spot for a reel that doesn't take too long, but it's still like packed with stuff that keeps you interested. And that's kind of what I go for in what I produce. Now, I will say it's always also good to have like a 7 to 10 minute kind of less polished, but more experiential, more, hey, here's a straight minute at a time instead of cutting out the uhs and ums and timings and all that stuff, just to show, here's the real life experience when you hire me. Not the whiz bang this and this. You saw that. Now you're asking for the longer one. Or some folks will just ask for the longer one and cut through the BS of, the smoke and mirrors and all that stuff that they may perceive. But yeah, so to answer your question, about 3.5 minutes, I think, is about the sweet spot. But I have seen them longer, like James's that we saw earlier was, I think, about 4.5 minutes or something like that, just because I had a hard time just that was as much as I could keep his personality too. If I could produce a 20-minute thing, it would be 20 minutes of him. But that was as much as I could, cram into that bag. So yeah, 3 to 3.5 minutes, I would say it's the final answer.
Great. And Jess, you had your hand up too. Did you still want to ask a question? Let's see if she's out there. All right. Well, I think we lost her. I think that brings us to a close. Oh, not me, she said. All right. My mistake.
Jamie, apparently.
Oh, was it Jamie? Oh, Jamie. Jamie, do you still have a question?
Sure, I'll ask my question. Hi.
Okay, go for it.
Yes, thanks. So for those of us who have a TEDx talk, do you know what the rule is on using clips from your talk?
Yes. Yeah. So, there used to be a thing where, like, first of all, there's a lot of misinformation. So
I'm sorry,
they're
I just read the comment.
with the TEDx Flex. Yes, TEDx. I want to see it. Pop in the link. We can all enjoy it.
Please.
But yeah, so it used to be that, were pretty protective of like having you sign an agreement basically that says that they own the video, right? However, there was some miscommunication about whether or not you could create clips from it. My understanding now is that they have fully seen the value of creating like 30 to 60-second clips and putting them as short form for social media. They create their own YouTube shorts, and often they get more views than the full video itself, right? So they have seen the value. My understanding is that it is allowed for you to create clips from it and use. What they don't want is a full version video of the full version talk living somewhere else other
Right.
than there on where they want it, right? Because
Yeah.
it's theirs. So, but yes, you can grab clips from it, and that's perfectly allowed.
Yeah, yeah, I've never had a problem including in this 10 years. I've had tons of clients who've done TEDx's and some even just TED Talks. Ooh, right? And I've never had a knock at the door, or a client who has. And to your point, Caesar, like, of course, like, here's a 60-second tease. Come back to TEDx. Like, we got way more here. Have you heard of us? Right. But yeah, also to your point, like, obviously they're missing out on traffic if it's hosted somewhere else, and then you're getting whatever from it. So from a copyright standpoint, that's obviously not,
Yeah.
going to be the case. But yeah, using little clips here and there is fine. I've never had a problem with that.
Okay, last question. Dave says, what about music that is used to overlay? How do we make sure that there's no copyright issues, et
Great
cetera?
question. Really, really great question. So what I've been doing, I'm subscribed to a couple of different websites that have copyright-free music. They just have dedicated creators that know that it's, going to be copyright free, and I don't know how it works with the membership, and they get paid or whatever, just like, I don't know, Spotify or something like that. But there are other mainstream. There's a company called lickd.com, lickd.com, that you can actually license mainstream music like that you hear on the radio. It's a little expensive. It's probably like, I don't know, $30 to $40 per license for that, but you could, as long as you're not selling anything from the video, you can use that to underscore your video. So all of this is to answer the question of copyright music. Obviously, don't use any music that is copyrighted. If there is a website that has copyright-free music, obviously they're gonna have a license for you to download. They're gonna have some code for you to put in your YouTube description, so YouTube goes, okay, you've got to pass. Yeah, no problem. We won't flag you. So yeah, that's where I get my music from. There are royalty-free sites out there with just hey, use my music but credit me. But that's it. You just have to make sure to put the license information or the credit to that music in the description of the video. And just make sure
Beautiful.
you're covered. Yeah.
Matt, do you know what else is not copywritten and I can use right now? Oh, it's the outro music. Thank you for being here. Come on. Oh, yeah. One more round of applause for Matt, everybody.
Thank you. Round
so
of applause
much.
for Caesar. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. Just keep following and joining us and building your speaking business. We're here for you. So have a good weekend, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, y'all. Bye.